Hey there, friends. It's Bill McDonald, the writing doctor, and also reading. And I wanted to share a little story with you before I uh, modeled today's lesson. Several years ago, I was doing a training with some teachers, and one of the very nice but uh, probably unknowledgeable teachers that I was working with spoke to me at the end of my training and said, "Man, I really love your strategies and love all your visuals and manipulatives and the kinesthetic way you teach things, and I really love all that stuff, but I'm not going to teach it to my kids." And I was like, "Well, why?" And she responded with, "Well, we can't help them on the test." And I'm like, "Ma'am, this is August, September. We need to teach." And I think even though we're in April, a couple weeks before the test, one of the mistakes that we make as teachers is completely letting the kids go to 100% independence, where they're working alone and just doing uh, tests, like just worksheet after worksheet. And so I'm going to suggest that whatever you do, make your sheets work. Don't just use worksheets. And one of the ways that I'm going to show you, I have inside my large Dear Doc ELAR and writing binder a 10 test editing section where it's got about 15 to 20 questions for 10 different tests, about 50 pages of practice where the kids can go pretty quickly, and 10 tests can be done in 10 days if you do it similar to the way I'm going to share with you, where you say, first, I'm going to teach my whole class, then I'm going to teach in groups. I'm going to teach in, make sure I can make my G correct. Everything's reversed here. I'm gonna teach in groups. There's my G. Then I'm gonna teach with a partner. Let's see if I got my P here. I'm getting them all backwards because of um the computer reversing the screen on me. And then we can do solo. And so out of the questions that each test that I show you on pages 180, I believe it is, we'll see in a second, to page 235, about 45 pages, you can have you can go over each test each day, and whatever skill you want to practice on, or maybe the skill that's the most difficult is the one that you would teach to your whole class, one or two in a group setting where they go three or four at a time. And so your next difficult ones, you can have them practice in a group. Your third most difficult one or two could be with a partner, and then the rest could be done solo. And that way, by the time 10 days pass, your students will be able to practice editing, um, but not be completely independent, where you can still be teaching some skills. And so that's what I'm going to model today. I'm going to model as quickly as possible the class, the group, and the partner, which I chose based on maybe what might be the most difficult to the least difficult uh, for students, uh, using the keywords error or change. And so for those of you that are not familiar, I'm going to make sure that you know that because of the wording of the question, your students are going to be able to use the keyword strands to determine what to do. So when we're editing passages, elementary is going to have two of them, about 8 questions in 2 passages with the words error, correct best for sentence, and or uh, correct best sentences. And those are 3 acronyms. And these 10 tests are mainly on just error or change, because probably out of the 8 questions for elementary, the 9 questions for middle school, and the 11 questions that'll be editing for high school, uh, probably the majority of them, except for perhaps one or two, are going to be saying in the question what error or what change. And it will be multiple choice, a mistake in cups, capitalization, usage, punctuation, or spelling, or it'll say the word error. Okay. And if it says correct best, it would be a run on or a fragment. If it says sentence, and if it says sentences, then it means that the first one is a complete sentence and the second one's a fragment, or that the first one's a fragment and the second one is a sentence. But this is the one that's going to occur a lot. And a lot of times people only have cups. They don't have numbered rule 2 and 3, the second S uh, of their cups that stands for sentence boundaries, mainly run-ons and fragment issues. So I'm going to show you using my binder a way to kind of go from class to group to partner and then solo. And so this is test number 1. As you see there, if you look on top, it's page 189. So 189 to, I think it's 235-ish. So about 45 pages that look like this, where you get to practice editing at the sentence level, where it's going to be tested with capitalization, usage, punctuation, spelling. The only time that you would need to look at more than one sentence for a question, if it was a question about usage, where you would check the previous sentence, like I shared with you on a previous video, or if they're asking you to correct sentences blank and blank, where you have to check box in or highlight 2 consecutive sentences. So as you see here, I've already marked them previously, and my timer is 11:31. So I'm going to try and wrap it up at 11:41 so I can keep it 10 minutes. Okay. So as a class, we would do this as a class visually, verbally, auditorily, kinesthetically. Capital. Whenever you're mad about something, comma, dependent clause, followed by an independent clause, just take a deep breath in and out, period. Change your to your, as in you are. Let me see if that works. Whenever you are mad about something, and that is correct, and I would pick that answer and know that it's going to be the one that is right. So let me practice my submitting. Um, that would be letter F. But we've got to change the color to black to make sure. Looks like it's the way the kids are going to see it. So there'll be of course, on the test. Whoops, and undo that. There'll be an open. There'll be a little circle like that, and the kids will just click on it, and it'll just fill it in itself. Okay. Let's see the next one. That has class. There's the next one. I'm gonna clear the drawing so you can see uh, better. Capital. Some people, plural subject, think, present tense, that it's cool to do drugs, comma, fanboy, but it isn't, is not a wise choice at all, period. And so the one here that we want to focus on is the it's. A lot of students get confused with it's. And so if you were to think of the apostrophe as a slow down mark, I would draw, I would draw a line between, whoops, let me undo my stuff there. Clear all drawings. Um, I'm gonna just delete that text that's there. I'm gonna try. It's not letting me. Okay, let me just move it so you guys can see it a little bit better there with my mouse. Sorry about that. Oh, it went. Oh, that means it's on the actual. Uh, ended up editing on the text itself. So I can get rid of this. There we go. All right. So some people think that and so what you have your kids do to check if there's a contraction, you can have them draw a little line through there. Not sure why it didn't let me draw. I told it to let me do that. There's the little line. Some people think that it is cool to do drugs. And so if you have ownership, then your kids would take off that apostrophe, that contraction, whatever you want to call it, and they would be good to go. But you would own the next word. It's owner, it's cover, it's lid, it's um, opening, something that belongs to it would be the next word. And so since you can't own a cool is an adjective describing that wouldn't make sense. Okay. So then we would uh, move on to the group level. And so you would have already looked at them and marked them for your students uh, so that they can practice and they can mark them before they start on their own with their classmates. It's scary not knowing. I don't know why I chose that one. Think I don't think that that one would be as hard as some of the other ones. Let me pick a different one. I think I don't like that. I think that one would be a little bit too easy. Um, let me. Oh, I meant to put it up here. That's why. Okay. So we'll put number 7 as the group one. There we go. And then I'll be back into this one here. Capital I am not trying to be a bad friend, independent clause, but capital I don't, do not want to get into any trouble, period. And I can tell that there's two independent clauses joined by a comma with a fanboys. And so uh, we would want to place that comma, make sure I'm able to draw here, place that comma right in front of the fanboy. And I'm just putting yellow to remember to slow down. So, of course, your kids can use a highlighter, so they can just put a little yellow mark there. And so the answer that would be the one to choose would be um, letter, let's see, comma, and a comma after friend. And so we would pick that one and they would just click on it and it would fill it in just like that. I'm using the Zoom. Um, this the draw has a dark circle like that that you can fill in. All right, so then let's see what else. I have about 2 minutes left, so I'll have time to do maybe one more with you guys. Let's see if I can find the other group one that I had put. There it is. Um, Capital. All of us were in shock at how high the roller coaster was in the air, question mark. Okay. So the first thing that I would have your kids do is punctuation, ending punctuation is stopping the sentence. And so your kids have to um, think to themselves, do I want to, um, do I want to, do I want to stop this sentence with a stop sign that's asking something? And so I'm going to uh, circle that stop sign right there to determine the first word. And so what you might also have your kids do is circle the first word of the sentence. And what I would recommend that you have your kids do is draw a, I would probably recommend that on a big sheet of paper that you have all your kids draw a huge question mark and then put all around that 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, all the question starters that you can think of. And that way they can have like a little cheat sheet from now until the test. Oh, the who, what, when, where, why, which, how, did, will, do, there's dozens of them. And so your kids could begin filling them. And so what I'd like you to see is that because there's an emotional word here, all of us were in shock, we could take the author's license to say, I think that I would probably, because we were in shock, and end it with what I call an exclamation mark, which is the exclamation mark that's there. So we would be choosing, that would be letter D. And then again, like I said, I would click on it because it would just be something. And remember that all of the editing samples from third through 10th grade were all either multiple choice or drop down, where those were all these letters that you see here, or are just gonna just pop down when you click on it, and the kids would just pick on the one. And so I think that's just to avoid having any issues. Now that 10 minutes have passed, so I want to stop, but I do want to show you um, uh, where I had the rest of the marks. Uh, Let me see if I had partners written anywhere. There's a partner one there. Taking, where you drop the E and just put ing. And there's my other partner one. Um, the teachable moment of instruction would be the month of April, a day of the week, since we're in April right now. And today happens to be Friday, Capital Friday. Uh, uh, This is just the teachable moment part. It's not the answer that's wrong. I just wanted to show you this. Teachable moment is you can talk about the days of the week, the months of the year, and then talk about seasons, summer, winter, fall, spring, autumn, that you don't capitalize, but a lot of kids would accidentally. But because the name of this test is called capital star capital test. STAR is an acronym, and so all those letters would be capitalized like letter H. And so that's how you do it. And then you would tell your kids, okay, guys, we've done uh 6, 3, 8 as a class, group, and partner. And so you do the rest solo. So if you think of it alphabetically, class, group, partner, solo, that's alphabetical, where you're graduating to independence, where you work on just the hardest ones, the most difficult ones with your kids. And then they'll still be able to do quite a bit on their own. But you can start off the lesson doing it like that. And in Spanish, it works the same way. For those of you that have the Spanish binder, there's a section of multiple choice the same exact way, or you would practice, puedes practicar con clase, grupo, pareja y solo, en este orden, para graduar, porque no queremos ser todo solo. If we do everything solo, the scores are always going to be so low, and then we'll be wondering why. Well, we move too quickly. Your kids are not like pilots where they can fly solo. Some of the kids are going to have scores that are so low because we were trying to make them go so low too early without having enough practice time. So God bless you guys. I hope you enjoying your holiday. This happens to be Easter weekend where I'm showing this video. Make sure you email me at writing_doctor@yahoo.com if you have any questions. If you have any, if you want specific strategies about something. Um, I'm kind of just sharing as many as I can. I'm not going to be emailing any of you these videos that I'll be doing this weekend, just so that you won't be swamped with lots of videos during your holiday. So just make sure you go to Facebook uh, if you're watching this one and look at my page to see any of the other ones that I post during the holiday to keep you guys informed and, of course, give you ideas to use. So you guys take care and have a blessed holiday weekend.